Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hi, Lana. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Ginger.
Hello, everyone. We have about a minute and a half till it hits 3 o'clock, so we're going to wait and give people a minute or two more to join us. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's 3 o'clock. We're going to get started. Welcome to the House Bill 2420 work group. Glad to see you all. I hope everybody came through the amazingly terrible weather we had unscathed, or at least that things are looking up for you now. Again, my name is Alana Hine. I'm the facilitator for the work group. I wanted to kick off with introductions. We'll do that in a minute. And I wanted to remind you that this is a public meeting. It will be recorded. We're going to do a round of introductions, and we're collecting any questions that people have to produce a frequently asked questions page for everybody. So today we're going to go over the work plan for the year for this work group and make sure that people are comfortable with the schedule of topics, and note that those who are going to be requested to be on a panel will provide the panel questions in advance. The bulk of today's time will be taken up with an overview of the vital records system and some time to ask questions about the system. Quick reminder about the work group ground rules. Let the facilitator facilitate, share the air, participate and engage, use the parking lot, ask questions, listen to understand, use the raised hand function to speak, use the chat to share links, not for ongoing commentary, and only work group members may speak or post in the chat. And a note that meetings will be recorded and notes will be sent out within 2 weeks. Any questions about the agenda or the agreements, the ground rules? Looking for hands, not seeing any. So I want to go down the list. I'm looking on the participant list and ask the work group members to introduce yourselves, and I'm going to do it in alphabetical order so you can know when your name is going to come up. That means we start with Chad and then Lucy and then Ginger. Would you be willing to unmute and introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chad Dresselhaus. I'm with the Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board.
Thanks, Chad. Lucy,
Hi.
then Ginger.
This is Lucy Gibson. I work for Child Welfare for the state of Oregon, and I will not be at the February meeting.
Thank you for letting us know. We will miss you. Ginger, then Jael, then Joy.
Hi, my name is Ginger Sorolla. I work at Jackson County Vital Records.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hayel Barón Garcia. I work at the Malheur County Health Department with Vital Records.
Thank you, Hayel. Then we have Joy, then looking for the then Derek, and then Sarah.
Hi, I'm Joy Goodwin, and I work for Douglas County Clerk's Office.
And then Derek, and then Sarah.
My name's Derek Patterson. I'm with the State Vital Records Office, and I'm the liaison to the counties.
And then Sarah, and then Shauna, and then Paula.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I work at Macy and Son Funeral Home in McMinnville, Oregon.
Shauna, and then Paula.
Hello, everyone. Shauna Peterson. I am in Ontario, Oregon, Malheur County. I'm an attorney in private practice, and I focus on trust and estate work.
Thank you. Paula, then Wally, then Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Paola Souls. I'm with Clackamas County Vital Records.
Thank you, Paula. Wally, then Jennifer.
Yeah, Wally Ordeman, Oregon Funeral Directors Association. And I scratched my eye yesterday taking my contacts out. So if you see me rubbing my eyes or wiping away tears, I'm not crying.
Thank you for letting us know. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Woodward. I manage the Center for Health Statistics, and I am the state registrar.
Thank you. And I wanted to check, do we have somebody from Representative Owen's office in the meeting? Maybe not yet. And anybody that I missed who was appointed to the work group that didn't get to introduce themselves?
Virginia Lopez, work for Harney County Health Department as a registrar.
Thank you, Virginia. Sorry I missed you. Anybody else who's appointed to the work group that hasn't introduced themselves yet? Okay. Thank you for that. We're going to move into the plans for the year. In addition to the agenda for today, there was a handout that was sent out that kind of has a month by month topic of what we're going to be looking at. So I just want to kind of review it and see if you have any questions. So January, so I just want to remind people that we're using an interest-based problem-solving approach. So what we're doing in the first part of the year is immersing ourselves in information. And then for the next part, we'll be brainstorming and trying to identify options and opportunities. And then once we've identified those options, we'll be discussing the options and then selecting preferred options. So that's the overall process. Month by month, January, we're going to have the Vital Records System overview. In February, which that meeting is now relatively soon because we had to move this one because of the storms, will be the state vital records structure, fees, and deliverables. In March, we're hoping to have a county vital records structure panel discussion. So hoping that our county representatives who are on this work group will be willing to participate in a panel discussion. I'll provide you the questions in advance so that you don't have to figure it out. But so that we can have a variety of insights about how different counties are managing this work. And then April, the funeral home structures, also a funeral home work group members asking for a panel, if you're willing to participate in a panel, again, with advance notice about what the questions will be. In May, we wanted to have an opportunity to generate additional questions, anything the work group hasn't talked about or any other topics that need to be addressed, and have an opportunity for sharing additional information. Some of those questions may come up in January and February and March and April, right? They won't necessarily just be generated in May, but we do want to leave room to deep dive into asking and answering additional questions if there are some. Starting in June, we'll have a discussion of issues raised by House Bill 2420 and begin to generate options for addressing those questions. In July, we'll be discussing the options, and in August, we'll be discussing the options, and in September, we'll be selecting preferred options and starting a draft of the report. In October, the group will be invited to review the report and make comments as needed. November, we will meet if there are additional questions or comments from OHA. So stay tuned, keep that on your calendar for the work group to address any issues that come up as the options and the comments make their way through the OHA process. Any questions about the work, like the overall, what the work is, how we're approaching it? Any thoughts or comments about that overview? Okay. This is, the new skill of tolerance for awkward silences while we wait on video calls. So I didn't see any hands. Doesn't mean you can't ask questions or make comments later if you have additional thoughts. This is an open process. Want to encourage the work group members to participate and ask questions as they arise. Okay, so the next topic is the big topic for today, which is the overview of the Vital Records System. And I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to do that presentation. It would be great if you could make note of any questions you have and ask them at the end of the presentation, because we will have plenty of time for questions and answers after the presentation. Jennifer?
Sure. Thanks, Alana. Thank you all. Again, if you have any questions, also, Alana, is it okay if they put them in the chat as well?
It's fine. If you put them in the chat, we will track them and make sure that we answer them at the end. I just don't want to interrupt the flow of the presentation before we get to that. Yeah,
Okay,
of
well,
course.
thank you all. Thank you for the flexibility on the storms. We appreciate everyone being here. So I'm going to be presenting on the Oregon Vital Records and Statistics System, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if I could get an okay that you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. So when we were doing our brainstorming session back in December, it became pretty clear that there was a lot of questions about what does this entire state vital record system and statistics system look like? And I'm going to turn off my camera if that's okay, because I'm going to be turning my head a lot and looking at the slides. So I hope that that's okay. And then I'll get back on camera when we get to the questions. Okay, this slide you have seen before. This is the Oregon Vital Records and Vital Statistics System. Again, I'm talking about the state system as a whole. And again, reminding that the vital records themselves are legal records. These are really important records for people to conduct their lives in Oregon. And the statistics side as well as the foundation provides the foundational information that is needed for assessing the health of a population. This is all in Oregon law. ORS 432 requires that every vital event that occurs in Oregon to be recorded and retained permanently. Just a reminder, for those vital events are births, deaths, marriages, divorces, or fetal deaths. And our system is 120 years old, moving on to 121 years old. And you can see from the slide here, the number, the years of when we started registering the records. So the state system as a whole, we do a lot of work. The entire state system does a lot of work. These are preliminary statistics, just January through October. It gives you a really good idea of the amount of work that we all do as part of the state system. Up through October, I just got the final numbers for 2023. I'm working on those, so we will be updating these numbers. But to give you just a sense of the numbers, 106,000 events were registered in Oregon during that time period. And you can see the different events and the numbers of those events. The state as a whole, did over 30,000 amendments to those records. Since certificates are a very important part of the work that we do, we noted here that the State Vital Records Office issued up through October 128,000 certificates, and the County Vital Records Office issued 270,000 certificates. That's an approximate. It does count those certificates where the order was completed, and in some cases the order may not have been completed, so that's why it is considered an approximate. So those are the stats of the work that the entire state vital records system does, our entire state. We also get asked a lot about this life cycle of a record. So there was questions like, what happens when an event occurs, and what's this whole point of a vital record? And this is a large flow diagram, and I am going to spend some time breaking this flow diagram up into pieces. But what I'd like to start with is the bottom portion of the flow diagram, because the idea is if there's an event occurs, it has to be registered. It has to be registered to become a vital record. And that registration does vary in law. It's from 5 days for birth and death records and up to 10 to 15 days marriage, divorce records. Once that event occurs and it becomes registered, that's when it becomes part of the state vital records system, and that's when it officially becomes registered. Moving now to the green arrow at the bottom, as you can see that once it's in the system, these are confidential records, and they can only be eligible to certain parties, and they are maintained as confidential records for 50 to 100 years. It's 50 years for death, marriage, and divorce records, and 100 years for birth records. And we are what's considered a closed record state. There are some states where all these records are public records, but they are not in Oregon. And then after the time period, they move to the state archives. They are archived. They are all stored permanently, but they are available to the public after that time period. So let's start with the registration piece of it. So the event occurs, and I'm up the up at top corner here, left-hand corner. Event occurs to a family. We have our birth facilities, our hospitals and midwives reporting the births, our county clerks reporting marriages, our induced termination of facilities reporting abortions, our county courts, divorce, and our funeral directors reporting the death records. So these are our key partners for when the event occurs to a family. We rely on these partners to record the information and begin the registration process. So the next step is all 5 of the groups, all the 5 of our partners, then do send the records to the State Vital Records Office, where it begins that registration process. There's an alternate flow also for some death records. So the funeral directors send the death records to the County Vital Records offices, and the County Vital Records offices, I'm turning now to this oval, the County Vital Records offices register what's called the hybrid death record. And a hybrid death record is when the funeral director completes the death record electronically, has to actually print the death record, go to the medical certifier and have the medical certifier hand key in, or hand write in, I should say, the cause of death. And then that record gets submitted to the County Vital Records office. All those records are evaluated and determined if they're legally sufficient to be registered, and then they're sent to the State Vital Records Office. So we're now moving to the next phase. All the records are evaluated and then determined if they're legally sufficient. If they're paper, they are keyed into the Oregon Vital Events Registration System, which is our State Vital Record System, is known as OVRS. Once that happens, they become vital statistics, and we'll be doing a different flow for vital statistics. And the other component is the vital records side of that, and that's the issuance of the certificates. So again, this is just a nice overview of the steps of the life of cycle of a vital record. So certificates can be issued. Amendments can also occur from the OVRS system and also from legacy paper and microfilm. And not all of the vital records of 120 years are in the OVRS system. There are a large portion of them, but definitely not all of them. And they all go to eligible parties because these records are still confidential. Then after the 50 to 100 years, the records go to state archives where they are archived permanently and then become public records. So that's the overview, general overview of the life cycle of a vital record. The next flow, there's a lot here. This is issuance of records or issuance of certificates. When we were getting our brainstorming session that we had in December, a lot of questions came up like, well, what's the difference between issuing certificates at the county versus the state? And I will break this flow diagram up. There's a lot here, but you can see there's some similarities at the ends. All right, let's turn to issuance at the state. So the state issues all vital events, all records for all vital events: birth, death, marriage, divorce, and fetal deaths. Starting over at the applicant side, this is our customers. Our customers, they need a certificate at the state level. And these can be done via phone or internet, which is the green and the purple line. We have a vendor named VitalCheck that takes those phone orders and those internet orders, and those are entered into OVRS, and they also check for obvious errors and if there's situations that need to be addressed, and that goes straight into the State Vital Records Office. The State Vital Records Office also gets mail, in-person, and fax customers, and those records go in coming from the state. All orders, mail orders, are keyed in, so the blue line, and entered into OVRS. The phone and internet orders are automatically in OVRS, but regardless of where the order comes from, each order is evaluated to make sure that the person is eligible to get the record, the applicant has identification, that the order form is completed, and then payment is received. So the happy path is everything looks great. they issue the certificate and it goes to the customer. But sometimes additional information is needed. So you have to go back to the applicant to get information. It's usually done by secure mail, and the applicant then provides the information and the certificate is issued. So now let's turn to the county side. The county issues birth and death certificates. So same flow, starting with the applicant. The county receives mail, in-person, and fax or email. And then some of the counties do accept internet orders. The county vital records offices issue records, birth and death records, for the first 6 months of the event and only for the county where the event occurred. Those orders are all entered into overs. And again, it's very similar what happens at the state. The order is evaluated for applicant eligibility, the identification of the applicant, making sure that the order form is complete and the payment is received. If it passes, it's issued. If it doesn't pass, then they gather more information. Usually the information is gathered in person, by phone, or secure email. Applicant provides the information and the certificate is issued. So now turning to the different roles. One of the questions came out is what are the different roles that the county has versus what the state has, and what are the roles that are very similar between the two? So I'm going to start with the roles, and you'll see we'll eventually get to a Venn diagram. That's why it's a circle. But the counties have their local level in-person service. Almost every county in the state has a vital records office. And some counties actually have 2 vital records offices, so it's very much of a local in-person immediate customer service. The staff at the counties, some of the counties have staff that have responsibilities for non-vital records programs. Some of the smaller counties that their vital records is only a part of their job. The orders are primarily received at the county in person. The funeral homes come in, or from funeral homes via fax. So it's a lot of, mentioned earlier, it's a lot of in-person contact. The counties primarily issue death certificates to funeral homes and birth certificates to parents. And there's pretty clear eligibility with the funeral homes and with the parents. Reminding again, they issue records within their county within 6 months from the event, and it is only for that county where the event occurred. The counties issue records from overs or a death record that is a paper hybrid record they can issue from paper. Amendments to death records can happen at the time of registration, and then the communication to customers primarily again in person or by phone. So those are just the general roles, major roles at the county. Now turning to the state. The state's responsible for administering the entire state vital records and vital statistics system. What's different than the county is the staff at the state specialize in specific vital records and statistics responsibilities. We don't have any other responsibilities. The state's orders are received by phone, internet, mail, and in person. The state issues certified copies for all vital records to all parties, and often there's a lot of extra eligibility documents that are needed, so additional documents to provide eligibility. The state issues all records within the state going back 120 years. The records are issued from overs, microfilm, image, and paper copies. Because I mentioned we don't have all of our records in overs, it's all not electronic. All amendments to records occur at the state. The communication is different. It's mostly through secure email or letter. All of the analysis and publishing of statistics occurs at the state. The state maintains, develops, and supports the help desk for overs and training. So what does it look like when we put them together, and what overlaps? of these roles. And the key things that overlap are in the middle of the slide. So all orders are entered, and all order information is entered to OVERS. Both the state and the county do that. The application is reviewed for making sure that the applicant's identity is verified, that they're legally eligible to get the record. There are a lot of laws and a lot of complex procedures that both the county and the state are responsible for making sure that they understand and follow. State and the county provide excellent customer service in a very high pressured environment. Continuity of operation plans are happening at the state and the county, and then the state and the county are collecting and managing fees. Mostly fees based. So there's one other flow we need to turn to and look at, which is the vital statistics side of things, because we're talking about the Oregon vital records. We've been focusing on the importance of those vital records, how they're issued as certificates, how family members use those vital records for establishing identity, taking care of affairs of a loved one, birth certificates for the identity, and death certificates for taking care of the affairs of a loved one. Now turning to the vital statistics side. So vital statistics are used as the foundational data, particularly the up in the top corner here, birth, death, and fetal death. Databases are used as foundational databases to assess the health of a population. If you see any statistics on leading causes of death, life expectancy, all come from death records. All of the work around opioid deaths coming from death certificates, also COVID deaths as well. So very, very important databases. The data are in OVERS, going down the flow here. The county vital records offices do have vital statistics that they provide to the voter registration rolls. There is law that the death information does get shared with the county clerks. But one of the key things to remember around the vital statistics side is that all release of any data does need to be approved at the state level. So the state is responsible for assuring that all of the records then are the vital statistics are shared and released through a process that we have for data use agreements. But at the state level, there's data quality and statistical analysis is done. And then all of the information, again, from the birth, death, and fetal death records are shared with, as you can see here, and I'm not going to list them all, federal agencies and state agencies, and often in these cases, they have the information to conduct their business. And I'll just give a couple of examples. Social Security Administration gets information on death records to terminate benefits for people who are deceased. They also get information on birth certificates immediately to issue social security numbers. A lot of the other agencies then are getting the death information and the birth information to conduct their business. Public health programs, many of them listed here, get the information again to conduct their business, to analyze and looking at the health of the population. One of our key partners is the National Center for Health Statistics to provide national level data. We share it with jurisdictions, researchers, and another very important aspect is providing interactive dashboards on our web for the public to be able to look at the information that we've provided. We provide updated year-to-date data monthly and quarterly, and then when the files are finalized, we do annual reports. All right, another question that came up during our brainstorming sessions in December is like, what's happening with the fees? What are the fees you charge? Where do they go? So we have a table here of the fees. This first table is focusing on the fees under ORS 432, which is the vital statistics system. And it's arranged by where the fee is paid to. So the top two fees are it's paid to the issuing office. So if the fee is collected by the state, it's collected by the state, or if the certificate is done at the county, The county then gets the fee. So there's the fee you usually hear is the $25 fee for certificates. So the $25 fee is collected by from customers and paid to the state or to the county. And then the $5 replacement fee for death records goes to the state or the county. The rest of the list of the associated fees around the full image of the birth record, the amendment expedite, the amendment fees, birth record prior to adoption, issuance expedites are all paid to the state vital records office. And as well as the verification fee. We've also listed fees, the zero fee for certificates for individuals who are houseless or homeless. Those are affected by a declared emergency and Veterans Affairs use. Another set of fees that is important to share are fees that are not in ORS 432, but are the fees that are in ORS 417 and ORS 692. We did get a lot of questions on those during our brainstorming session in December. So the birth certificate issuance fee, this is when any time a birth certificate is issued, it is paid from the state or the county who issued the record, and it goes to the Oregon Department of Human Services Office of Children's Advocate under the law ORS 417. All birth certificates that are registered, another $1 for every birth certificate that is registered comes from the state vital records office and goes to the ODHS Office of Children's Advocate. And then there's the death filing fee. This is the $30 fee that the funeral homes pay to the Mortuary and Cemetery Board under ORS 692. And that fee is split up to help pay for the Indigent Burial Fund and also support the Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board. So that's covered a lot. That's an overview of the vital records, this entire state vital record system. Again, it's just an overview, but I think it's really important. We do have a motto. Our motto is "We are vital and we count." And we are all part of the vital records and vital statistics system. We are vital. These are legal records, as I've mentioned. The family members need to conduct their lives, and the statistical data is essential for assessing the health of the population. And not only do we all count as part of the vital record system, but the numbers represent people. So I will end it there, and I want to thank you so much for your time today and be happy to answer any questions, and I'll come off camera.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was a great presentation. If you want to stop sharing your screen, you probably can. Interested in what questions people have. You can raise your hand and I'll call on you. It was a lot of information, so people may need a moment to think about and digest the information. What questions do you have about the presentation or the overview of the system, or comments or thoughts? Mike, Mike, are you? Do you want to introduce yourself? And then Ginger.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Michael Collins. I'm with the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, Oregon, Director of Managed Care Services and Statistics, and he, him, his.
Thank you. What's your question?
So that was a lot of information. It was a lot of helpful information, I must say. So here, as a sovereign government here in Warm Springs, and then the other 8 tribes of Oregon as well as sovereigns, we keep our own vital statistic offices. Is there a way that can be incorporated, whether it's through a RAC or some other method, to be able to be recognized as a government? Because right now we kind of do it through the customer outlet to try and get certificates, whether they're birth or death or any other type of vital record.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to answer that question. That is something we've been exploring for quite a long time, and we can, again, set you up as essentially as a a vital records office. If that's something to establish as a vital records office, we would just need to do an intergovernmental agreement and get that to happen.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being here. I have Lucy and then Ginger. Lucy?
Hi, this question I guess is for Jennifer. On slide number 3, where you list all of the numbers of the vital records, what does the ITOPS stand for?
Sure. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Those are abortions.
Okay, thank you. Ginger?
So I had a question about the other fees. I understand, that from the county, when there's a birth certificate issuance, it's $1, and I get a quarterly report and we send that off. So with the funeral homes, is it a monthly or a quarterly that they send to the mortuary board? How does that work?
I'm going to defer that one to Chad on the payment and how it's paid, but there is the $30 fee, and I'll let Chad take it from there. Thank you for being here, Chad.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Great question, Ginger. So we bill it 1 month in arrears. So we receive a electronic file from Vital Records, regarding each funeral home, how many death filing fees, that have been processed during that month. And then we send an invoice to those funeral homes and they pay it. And let me just further explain kind of the split, if you will, of the amount. So a majority of the amount, actually, it was $20 until 2022, beginning of 2022, when we increased it to $30. And the reason for that was a significant portion of that amount goes to the Indigent Disposition Fund, which Jennifer referenced, which is to provide reimbursement to funeral homes who provide final disposition for those who are indigent or unclaimed decedents. So for their final disposition, they receive typically not the full amount of their contract amount, but currently it's $550 reimbursement amount that funeral homes receive for doing that. So originally it was $20, but in working with our LFO CFO, we determined at one point that the IDP fund was actually underwater. So we actually worked with the governor's office and was able to pass legislation to get that increase to ensure that the fund will be sustainable for at least for 5 or so years, and we continue to monitor that. So I mean, that's a little more, I think, maybe than what, but I think people are probably interested in that allocation. So $16 currently goes to the IDP fund. A percentage of that goes to the administration of it, and then we receive $14 per payment for our agency for agency operations, which is a significant amount of what we need to continue to operate. Were there any other questions about that, or did that? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Ginger, for the question. Wally, what's your question?
I'll just piggyback on what Chad said. I think it's important to note that $30 filing fee in statute, funeral homes are mandated to pay that per filing that they have each month. But as far as I know, all funeral homes do that as a pass through to the customer, to the client. So typically that $30 is put on the client's contract, it's collected, and then the funeral home is mandated to pay that monthly based on the number of death certificate filings they've had.
Thank you, Wally. That's very helpful. What other questions do people have? Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know if I missed it or not, but when you were talking about if a record's purchased at the county gets the revenue. If it goes to the state gets the revenue. What happens when somebody orders through Vital Check? Do we lose revenue to pay them, or how does that piece of it work?
So the Vital Check is contracted with the state Vital Records Office, and so they do charge an extra. So it's only the state that's using Vital Check for processing internet orders. There is an expedite fee that's in statute that we do charge and get to expedite those orders. And then Vital Check, as a contractor, they do actually charge an extra additional fee to the customer for processing the credit card and taking care of all the credit card processing. There are that does not affect the revenue that happens at the county at all. They're completely separate fees. Every fee that's gathered currently, every fee that's gathered at the state goes to the state. All the entire fee that's collected at the county goes to the county. Now, there are some counties that are using internet. They are using an internet vendor. It's a couple of counties that just started to do that, and they then they get the full fee for the record. And if the internet provider is charging extra collection fees, those go to the customer, and they do then also can gather that expedite fee that's gathered. That's in statute that the expedite fee is for any internet orders, but the fees don't shift based on the vendor.
Thanks for that question and answer. What other questions do you have? Ginger.
Sorry. When you said that a couple of counties use the internet vendor, is this something that is helpful as a whole in terms of funds and fees, and might be something that other counties would eventually do? Or I'm just an odd question, because I was curious about that. We have been solicited before, Jackson County, and but hadn't heard what other counties may or may not be doing this.
Yeah, so we Derek, help me out here. I believe we've got 2 counties that are using internet, or maybe 2 or 3 counties that have. You're right. They have had a vendor. They're not using Vital Check, but they do have a vendor that has come and expressed interest. And as long as it's meeting the requirements that we have in statute and rule for, there has to be the expedite fee. They have to collect the fee, and if they're paying additional fees, that can be determined. They also have to use an authentication quiz to make sure it's an out-of-pocket authentication quiz that's done as part of accessing through the internet. So then there are counties. I believe that Clackamas County has been up and running. Is it Deschutes County, Derek? And is there one other?
Multnomah and Lane County both have aspects for electronic ordering, but it's just for funeral homes for death certificates, not for the general public.
Paula, you're from Clackamas County. Did you want to comment about that?
Yeah, we just started this month, so it's just kind of too soon to. We're still excited, but I guess it's a little too soon to see how it will work in the long run. But it's just paperless. You can run reports. You can, you don't get all these checks every morning in the mail. It's fast. And so we're still learning. But today, for example, I have 3 people that were out sick, so I was hands-on today working on, but I wanted to, because I wanted to practice and how the system works, and it was good. It's a nice experience. It took a while to get the contract in place, and actually a year, but anyhow, we're still working some, quirks from the program and requests from OHA, and so yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good. It's just you need to modernize and give. Also for clients, it's easier because they can, order through their phones or through, a home, the computer. And so the company we're using, so far so good. They've been responsive, and very pleasant to work with. So yeah, so far positive.
Thank you, Paula.
And I'll chime in, there is actually then an additional fee that they was received to the $7 expedite fee that is received. And the idea is that the county should be getting the extra $7 fee, and that the idea is if anything that comes through the internet, it has to be processed and out the door within 3 business days. And that fee is written in the rule, so.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Jinder? Okay. I have, thanks for chiming in, Paula. It's nice to hear about your experience. I have a Kelly and Vicky. Is one of you, I don't know who raised your hand, is one of you a member of the work group?
Yeah, it's Virginia. Sorry.
Oh, Virginia, I'm sorry. I just misunderstood. Go ahead, Virginia.
So my question is regarding the hybrid certificates. Is there a point where there won't be any more hybrid certificates? Like, there'll be a requirement for everyone to be registered?
That's the goal. That the idea is that to have fully electronic all of the medical certifiers in the state who complete the medical portion of the death record. That's the physician's medical physician assistants. All the medical examiners are on the system and use overs, but it's those medical certifiers. And so right now we do not have a law that requires it, but we are making progress. It's a continual goal. We have right now have 84%, 85% of the records all fully electronic. But yep, that is the goal. But right now we have no law that requires it.
Thank you, Virginia. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. I see a hand from somebody signed in as Kelly Eckerman. Are you a work group member, Kelly?
No, I'm a guest.
Okay, then you just get to be a guest. The participation in the meeting is restricted to work group members.
Oh, that's fine. Ginger can contact me at the work group meeting, and
Okay.
If she wants to know more about the online ordering that Deschutes County is doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for offering, Kelly. That's a nice offer. I appreciate it. What other questions do you have? Other insights or comments about the presentation? Okay. Thank you all for your kind attention. We're just going to wrap up the meeting with a plus delta, which is an invitation to evaluate how the meeting went today. So the plus side is what went well in today's meeting. The delta side is what could have gone better, either for yourself or the group in terms of process or content, how we work together, or the work we got done. Any comments about how today's meeting went for the work group participants? I'm not hearing any comments, but also if you wanted to, you could put them in the chat if you don't feel like unmuting or saying something out loud. Happy to hear comments. Chad, I see your hand.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think people have verbalized it already, but I just wanted to, it was a really helpful, it was a wonderful presentation. It helped me understand the process because I know our agency is involved in it, in our, our licensees probably know more than I do in kind of practical application. So it was really helpful, and the visuals really help too of the flow and then how the state and the counties work. So wonderful, wonderful job, Jennifer.
Thanks, Chad. And all of these, this presentation will be available to everybody, so you can kind of digest it again at your own pace.
So thank you, Chad, and I have to give credit to Derek and James for the flows. That wasn't me. Thank you to them for the help
Kudos
designing
to everyone
it.
who helped set it up. It was wonderful.
Thanks.
Paula, do you want to speak?
Yeah, the meeting was great. Thank you again for hosting this. But I just want to say, the lady that spoke from the Shoes County, that they are doing the online, if she can reach out to me, I would like to, exchange some information on how things are going for them. Since we're so new, I don't know when, but anyhow, sorry. I know this is not the moment to talk about that, but if she can reach out to me or Ginger, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, making those connections is great. Okay. Other comments about how today's meeting went? Okay, so next meeting we'll be talking about the state vital record structures, fees and deliverables. So you can expect to learn more at that meeting. And then we'll talk some about the panel for March of the County Vital Records folks and the panel for April with the funeral home work group members. Thank you all for your kind attention and wonderful questions and offering of information. Thanks so much, Jennifer, for a great presentation, and to all the folks who worked on it. Thank you too from Joy. Hope you have a wonderful week. Look forward to working with you in February. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.